there, welcome to VCode's 100 Days of Coding Challenge. So today is day 2 of the phase 2 and let's see the question number 1. So the question is build a Java program to manage employee information within a company. We need to implement an employee class with encapsulated fields for name, ID and department. So here we need to manage employee information. For that we need to create an employee class. So more details. So we need to create an employee class with private fields and accessor and mutator methods for encapsulation. Use constructors to initialize the employee details. So we are seeing some new terms here like private fields, accessor or mutator methods for encapsulation, and the constructors we have already seen that. So the input format includes employee details such as name, ID and department, and the output must be the employee information which must be displayed after setting and retrieving the details. So the only constraint we have is we need to ensure that the employee ID is not an empty string. So also there are few test cases. So if we got the input as these three, which is John Doe, which is the name, this is the ID and this is the department, so the employee details must be printed. So that's it about this question. So let's quickly see what all concepts do we have. So I'll quickly create the Java file. So let me name it as employee details.java. And now I'll create the main method. So public static void main. So in this question, what we need? So we need to create an employee class. So let me quickly create an employee class. Employee. So what all attributes this class is having? So basically, what is a class? It is blueprint of anything, right? So this is an employee and it has some attributes. What are the attributes given in the question? It has a name, which is of type string, and then it has an ID, which is also a string, and then it has the department, right? So if we create some employee out of this class, so that is objects. So those all objects will be having one name, one ID, and a department. That's it. So let us try to create some employee here. So employee. So let me name it as E1 and new employee. So here I am calling the constructor to create a new object for this employee class. Okay, so now I'm going to set the variables. So E1 name. So what shall we give the name? So let me give it as, so let me give it my name. So Preeti, and E1.id equals some, so let me give some registration number. So some number, so XYZ 1 2 3. Okay, so let it be 1 to 4, and E1 dot department. So let me give it as marketing. So this is just an example. So I have created an employee E1 and gave the details for them. So what am I doing here? So I have accessed these variables outside this class. You can observe this is a class outside this employee details class, and I have accessed these variables outside this class. What if I had given here a private variable, so private keyword, instead of leaving it to default? So if I write private keyword in front of all these variables, you can see some red marks here, right? So what is this? So the field employee.name is not visible. What does that mean? So that means this private keyword is doing something to this variable. So I'm not able to access this variable. What is it doing? So it is actually restricting these variables from being used from outside this class. So this is what an access modifier does. So this private keyword is an access modifier, so which actually modifies the what classes or variables can access those variables actually. So there are types of these access modifiers. One is public, one is private, one is protected, and then the other one we have is default, so where we don't have any keyword. So public we have used many times, which can be accessed from anywhere, and this is private, which we are going to see in this video. And then we have protected, and then we have default. So protected will be having the protected as keyword, default will be having no keyword. So this access modifier actually helps in restricting the access of who can access those particular variables or methods. So that is clear. But how do we access these now? So if we want to create an employee and we want to give that employee one name, ID and department, what we will do? Here comes the concept of the getter and setter methods, which are accessors and the mutators. Accessor methods are the getter methods. So you can see accessor, which means we are accessing, that means we are getting the value. Mutator means like modifying, so it is like setting the values. So here, to access the values of these variables, we need to use some methods in object-oriented programming. So this getter methods will be actually returning some value. So this would be having some return type. So if I want to declare a getter method, so let me say we want to get some name. I'll declare public and then the return type would be string because name is a string. And then the getter methods usually start with this get because we are actually getting something. So it would be easy convention for us to understand. So get name and then we would be returning what? We would be returning the name. And for setting methods, so let me set the name. So public. So the setter methods won't have any return type because we are only setting something, we are not returning something. So public void set name. So similar to get, here we will be having set. And what name we need to set, that we will be passing here. And again, this dot name equals name. That's it. So here I had written the get method and here I had written the set method. So for now, for time being, so let me comment out this and let me show you if this get method and set method is working or not. So if I want to set the name of E1, so set name, so let me name this time Divya. So I had set this employee 1 name as Divya and I want to print it out now. So I will access it using the get name method. So firstly I had set the name using set name and now I'm getting the name using the get name method for this employee 1. So now let's see if it is running or not. So I will run the file javac employee details.java and now I'll run the file employee details. So now you can see, so we had modified the value of a private variable outside the class using set method and then we had also got the value of that variable using the get method. So this is how this get and set methods work. So now let us quickly complete the question which was asked here. What we were asked? We were asked to create an employee class with private fields and accessor or mutator methods for encapsulation. Encapsulation is basically like encapsulating all the variables and methods. So like we are putting all of them together into a capsule. So which is like putting all the variables, methods into one class. So that is the concept of it. And using these access modifiers, we are doing some data hiding. So if someone from outside comes and if he can easily access the string name, name, ID and department, so it is not very good, right? So here we need to use this private so that there will be some data restriction and security. This is basically used and it's a good practice. And we need to use a constructor to initialize employee details. So let's quickly write the code for this. So here I have written already the name, ID and department. I leave the comments as it is. So I have written the get methods for the name. So now let me quickly write the get method for the ID. So get ID and what it would be returning ID. And then the get method for the department. So get department. So what it would be returning? Department. And then, so we had written get ID, but we hadn't set it. So we will set the ID also. So public void set ID. So what we would be passing? We would be passing an ID and this dot ID equals ID. And also we would be setting the department. So set department and it would be taking the department and this dot department equals department. That's it. We had written all the get set methods to modify these three variables. And now we can, so you can see here it is a public method. So anyone can access this method. So now it is very easy for us to modify the variables here, and we can create variables out of it. So now I'll remove all these things. So as we were mentioned that we need to use constructors to initialize the employee details. So here I'm going to use a parameterized constructor. So I will pass the name here itself. So what is parameterized constructor? So whenever we create an object, the constructor is called. So this default constructor has all these variables. So this employee one object has all these variables. But if we want to put the values of them, then I will have to declare it here or even outside, but I'm calling here. So for this I have to create another method here. So let me write the names. So let the first name be Divya, and then let the ID be 1, 2, 3 ABC, and then the department be, so what shall we give the department as? So let us say HR, and then I'll create another employee, E2 equals new employee. So let that name be Alice, and then the ID be 456 CD, and then the department be marketing. So that's it. So now we have to write that parameterized constructor. So public void. So what is that constructor? It is employee. So what are we passing here? So string name, string ID, and then string department. So here for that object we are going to set the name of whatever is passed here. So this dot name equals name, and this dot ID equals ID, and this dot department equals department. That is it. And now what I can do is I can display all these details. So whenever display details is called, then I will display all the details. So public void display info. So here what I will print is, so employee details plus, so what shall we print? So we will print name plus some space, and then ID plus some space, and again the department. That's it. And for here I will call that display details method. So for employee 1 I will call that, and employee 2 dot display info. So let us see what error we have here. As this is a constructor, so we shouldn't write here a void here. So that's it. There shouldn't be any return type because it's a constructor. And now let me run the code and check if it is working or not. So firstly, let's compile the file employee details .java, and now Java employee details. You can see the details of employee. So employee 1 details are Divya 1, 2, 3 ABC and HR, and employee 2 details are Alice and 456 CD and marketing. So this is how we use private variables outside the class using the getter setter methods. And this was about today's question. So I'll see you again in the next question. Thank you for watching. Do follow the 100 Days of Coding Challenge of VCode. Thank you.